we thought about doing something different and react to some of the comments left on our podcast. If you like a chance to have your comment featured on the next video, think about leaving a comment. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe and like the content. So this comment is from Tay2x196. He says, in the anime, Momo said Boruto strongly inherited Otsutsuki genes, or was he just talking about the Jogan? So I think that goes back to the conversation that we had of why Himawari was the one to inherit Kurama instead of Boruto.
I believe in the. Oh, you want to hit it?
Well, I was about to. Well, I don't know if this could have possibly been your point, but I think it was probably less of the Kurama thing, and I think more of like the Kaguya thing. And we talked about this a lot. Maybe Himawari possibly has some of Kaguya's chakra. I was thinking since Boruto already had some of the Otsutsuki chakra inside of him, same thing could be said for Himawari as well. And we pretty much put together a Kaguramomo, gave some of his powers to Naruto and Hamura, and the same thing with Hinata. In my personal opinion, that right there in itself could just be like pure Kaguya chakra that Momoshiki probably sensed.
Yeah, we definitely have two different continuities in the anime and the manga, and I'm going off of memory for the manga because I wasn't really reading it that much at that point. But I do believe in the manga he mentions his Byakugan, like he inherited like the Byakugan's power. So this would obviously link towards the Hyuga, his mother, the Byakugan princess, and the whole, conversation between Urashiki and Toneri on the moon, where he doesn't really mention Urashiki Naruto. The more important element seems to be Hinata when he says, "We know what you did to that woman's son," right? And then the last era Homerish chakra. So I think when it comes to like inherited power, it's more so like the Hyuga, when we know that they like inbred to make their clan like more pure.
Pure, yeah.
And of course,
Facts.
they're like directly descended from Hagoromo, where Naruto, there's like a few degrees of separation to where it's not like Hamura directly. It's like Indra and Ashura. Indra being the Uchiha, Ashura being the Senju slash Uzumaki. So there's like a little bit of a divide there. But yeah, so I think that's pretty much in the manga. Now in the anime, given this comment, I would say definitely talking about the Jogan, seeing as how it's activated when he like comes up really close and he looks right into the Jogan eye. He's like, you strongly inherited the powers of the Otsutsuki, but you can't use it to see into your destiny. But I can see your fate quite clearly, right? And he activates his Byakugan. So yeah, there's different continuities, but I think the Jogan in the anime and the Byakugan in the manga, if my memory serves me correctly. But yeah.
No, I strongly agree with both of you guys' point. I think it has to do with the Jogan as well because he did look deep into his eye, and it looks like the Jogan is an Otsutsuki ability rather than just a Hyuga ability or something that's inherited by an Uzumaki or something like that. Yeah, so totally agree with you guys.
Yeah, but I do want to know like how much or specifically what is that Otsutsuki chakra because Momoshiki talks about it and Momoshiki is still living with Boruto like that's his vessel right now. It's just kind of funny that he never really brought that up again. It's just like the only time he mentioned Boruto's Otsutsuki inherited powers.
Yeah, I think in the so this is one of the major problems I've had with Momoshiki, and I spoke about this on my last stream, which is kind of poetic, but I don't like how he wasn't very proactive in the sense that he wasn't really making things happen for himself. He just saw something that occurred in the future, thought it would make Boruto despair, and then just waited for it to occur. Yeah, he like poked the bear every now and again and took over every now and again. And that can kind of distract you from the fact that he wasn't really very proactive in making that future, solidifying that future. So when it doesn't occur, he throws this temper tantrum. I'm like, well, what did you expect? You didn't really put your best foot forward. I wouldn't imagine. And I know he's smart because I've seen him make tactical plays and strategic moves. So it's like really interesting. And then it gets to like, okay, well, you take like Jigen or Ishiki, and he has to like go through a whole bunch of different children, right? He's like ending so many lives just to find the vessel. They don't seem to know what makes a really good vessel. Code is an anomaly. That's interesting. Did that have something to do with a motto or something of the sort? And then you take a look at Board, so he's just like some kid, and he's like a perfect vessel, like no issues, no breaking down or nothing. It's clearly, I think, linked to his genetics when it comes to his father and his mother, Hagoromo, Hamura. They both got the chakra, so maybe something comes together in the form of Boruto and after that, Himawari, which could make her a viable vessel for Kurama as well. As his soul migrates back, there's an actual like living entity that has his DNA. In the same way you would do like reanimation jutsu, you need some flesh, bring the people back. So I do think that's pretty interesting. DNA, the soul, and then like tethers. Like when Ishiki dies, he goes straight to where his like information is remaining, which will be code, right? It's like it's tethered there. He finally migrated to code, and then he just dispersed. I suspect a little bit, deep down inside that Ishiki's still like there. Obviously, his like genetic material is still there, so maybe he can come back and actually redeem himself in my eyes. But yeah, the genetics always play a big role in this series, and Boruto's no different. There's definitely no fairness in this series when it comes to like what you inherit.
Facts.
And it may have something to do with Sarda and her power up and why she's not affected by omnipotence. That could link to Sasuke and her inherited chakra from him, from Hagoromo, or some. I think Bara once said there was the possibility of maybe Sakura having some kind of hidden lineage. I believe that was Bara that said that. Some kind of hidden lineage that could play a really important role. Or maybe the Byakugo seal has affected on the genetic level in a way that Sakura just never really knew or noticed. Because it's dating back towards the era of Hagoromo, the Sage of the Six Paths. So like, there's just so many different paths to take with Himawari, Sasuke, Naruto, Sakura, and of course Kurama, Momoshiki, and Boruto.
I don't necessarily remember me making that starter point, but I'll take the W on that one.
Okay, somebody else. I'll just.
All right, this comment is from @BaileyHugh. If it's really our Kurama, I'm dropping this series. That's too big of a retcon for me. Makes Baryon mode moment a joke. What you guys feel about that?
I wouldn't necessarily say it makes it a joke, but I don't understand it. I mean, me personally, I've said this a couple times. Like, I was one of the people that thought Kurama was going to actually be dead, and the idea that we had was, of course, chakra in itself. You can't really kill chakra, and we understand the Telebeast in itself. They're all made up of chakra, but if all the chakra is extracted, there's nothing to be built off of. Like, so Kurama coming back and basically gathering up a bunch of chakra to pretty much have him sprout again. We thought that would be like null and void because there's nothing to build off of. Now, in my personal opinion, Kurama gave us a little bit new information.
Right.
Technically, Hell Beast can die. He made like a distinction about his soul, and also during the Baryon mode scene, he talks about how Naruto could potentially meet him. So I'm guessing there's like a soul aspect to the Tail Beast, and not fully just solely chakra.
Right.
And that sprouts back up. So, and that right there itself, once the soul, I guess, or the kernels, that's specifically what Kurama called it.
Yeah, the kernels.
Once the kernel pops back up, then that right there in itself starts to gather up a bunch of chakra. But again, I just thought that since he used up all the chakra, or I just thought that Tail Beasts were just purely chakra, and once you use up all the chakra, they're gone.
Right.
I personally didn't think that. I was always operating under the assumption that he just died because of the mechanics of Baryon mode, where they're consuming the chakra to form a new type of chakra, and they're at some point going to run out of chakra to be consumed, and then when you run out of chakra, you die. I always assumed that was kind of like the normal mechanics that was occurring, and I think perhaps I think a lot of content creators and a lot of viewers kind of bought into the idea of like this nuclear this or that, or some kind of scientific mechanic that existed in particular in the manga. The anime just completely removed that, which is why the anime is the superior product in my opinion. It just made it more simplified and got to the point. And once you kind of remove like the overly complicated scientific this or that, you're left with, hey, we're like, one character ran out of chakra, so there's a natural like death lore there that's been established in the series. And then we also know that character Kurama is a tail beast, and there's like a rebirth mechanic that had already been established all the way back, as far as I can personally remember, probably before this, back when Minato was combating the Nine Tails and explaining things to Kushina about how he needed to keep their basically nuclear weapon in Konoha through his son. So we already knew about the rebirth mechanics, and then you just remove the extra stuff, and then you're just left with, well, he just died normally. And then there's also dialogue that gets you there where he says, don't join me yet, Naruto, or something alluding to that.
Right.
So if he's like gone entirely, how is Naruto even capable of joining him? He obviously there's something else going on there. And even beyond that point, I would say it doesn't really ruin what happened, because what happened happened. You can always go back and read those chapters and feel that emotional weight and impact of a character's death, a character dying,
Facts.
and and feel that. You know, it's been in verse 3 years and some change since that occurred, so some time has passed. And I also think it can be an addition to that scene, so where there's this bond since childbirth with Kurama and Naruto. Kurama's been watching Naruto grow up his entire life, like literally his entire life. So there is like kind of an awkwardness, but also like a bitter sweetness. Like, hey, Kurama's back. That's really cool. Given like they already established he can come back, it's not an ass pull. But now that he is back, man, Naruto's not here, and Naruto's situation is very dire. Last time he left him, he sacrificed his life so that Naruto could flourish in some way to defeat this mighty Otsutsuki, and now he comes back, and the situation is as it is. The Shinju are here. Sasuke, he has a clone of him, and he's in a bad way. His daughter's in dire straits, getting her ankle twisted by this new Ten Tails entity, and what you're left with is kind of like a landscape that's like very tragic, and I think that can add on to the death and rebirth of one Kurama in a way that I think is pretty impactful. But at some point, you know, there is like, hey, you know, you have what you have, and we have what's occurring now, and then it's like, well, this is Naruto's kid, this is Himawari. I think this is like a really cool dynamic. Kurama, he's seen the life of, what is it, 3 generations of Uzumaki at this point, through Kushina and through Naruto, and now Himawari, he can help guide her as she's like a rookie in the game right now, because she hasn't been in these situations, right? And you look at the landscape right now, time of recording in 2 Blue Vortex, you have Himawari, Inoji might be down for the count, you have Shikadai and Chocho, right? No Sasuke, no Naruto, no Sakura, no Kawaki, no Boruto, and it's like the main antagonizing force in Jura right now. And I'm thinking, what can they do, bro? They are rookies. They did good to get away, but now it's time, like, you know, square up. And having Kurama in the field to guide her, I think that's going to be really impactful. And you want that, because we don't have a lot of like old gen characters in the field right now.
True.
Right? So you want to bring those older fans back in, like, hey, I love Kurama. I rock with Kurama, and I want some of them there in absence of Naruto and Sasuke. But yeah.
No, true.
I
No,
get what you.
I agree, bro. And you like to add on to that. It just depends on what they do with Kurama. Like, I really don't take it as an ass pull. At least they give us an explanation. You know, Kurama said, "Death is not eternal for Bijus. Even our flesh or soul perishes over time, but a kernel of us will sprout somewhere." So at least they gave us, like, you know, some hint. And Naruto, I mean, and Himawari being Naruto's daughter, it's only possible that the kernel of that chakra was left in either her or Boruto, and it happened to be Himawari. And I think it will be cool. It's a cool little dynamic now, because in Boruto, I mean, not Boruto. I'm gonna have to cut that out. And Naruto and Kurama were like enemies. That was clashing forces or clashing heads. And 2 Blue Vortex, we have a Kurama that's more level-headed, and he's actually working with Himawari, like Mello said, giving her direction and helping her out, and he's going to be the reason why she progresses. So I see this KCM or whatever form she gets is about to be a force to be reckoned with. But
Well, a couple of things. Well, the scene itself with Barrymore, I think you could say it's not necessarily as impactful as it was, simply because it's not necessarily like a finality of Kurama. Like at the time we were watching it, I think that no one really knew. So like I feel like now if you go back and watch it, it'll be like, hey, you know, Kurama's coming back. So it's like, hey, this is emotional and it is a good scene. So of course it'll always be entertaining, but it still doesn't necessarily have that finality to it, and like sense of danger or sense of risk that a lot of people like to feel. But so I get what comment.
yeah, it still makes it impactful, because that's the end of the relationship between Naruto and Kurama as far as them being together. So that's still impactful. Like, you know, I don't think that drops the ball there. We don't have the same Kurama that we had before. Like, that Kurama's gone.
That's true, but Kurama, he was definitely like a powerful figure. But I think towards the end of Naruto, or towards the end of his life, his previous life, I should say, he became more of like a character. People like the character of Kurama, and not necessarily like just the function of the power with him in Naruto. And I think that now we got the character of Kurama back. So of course that right there isn't necessarily like the finality of the character
Right.
Kurama. And also it's possible that Naruto comes back. I mean, once Naruto is unsealed, we know that he has a link between all the tailed beasts. Like there's like a heavy likelihood that he not might not only talk to Kurama but also have access to his chakra. So like
I mean, but
there's
that
still
begs
going
the
to be
fact that
intertwining.
is like, you know, Himawari now the sanctuary for the Tail Beast now that she has Kurama, because Kurama was supposed to be like the head of the sanctuary or something like that. Hagoromo said. So it just
I think
depends.
I think when it comes to that situation, there like you could actually see like the other tail beast made like a connection with Naruto, either in like the astral mental plane or whatever, or physically when he like engages with them. So I would say, absent of seeing like Himawari actually speak with them like, on the mental plane and like her being surrounded by them, or her actually making that physical contact, I don't think she would be considered the meeting place for the other tail beasts. But it could be something like really interesting to where she could potentially, you know, become like the Avatar or something akin to that, to where she gets like all the other tail beasts' power to combat against another Ten Tails. So she could be like the prime perfect Jinchuriki or something of the sort. Barring maybe Killer Bee shenanigans, because okay, that's our boy. We cloud ninjas, so we gotta rock with our boy, one of our best and finest. Okay, but you know,
Absolutely.
listen, Killer Bee might get packed up, bro. He might get packed up. He might have to make a
No, not Killer
sacrifice.
Bee.
Listen, bro. Look. Naruto's his boy, and Naruto's now down for the count. Now, you know, one thing I really would love to see, just as an aside, um, is maybe like the reactions that people would have to Naruto's passing, because they think he's gone, they think he's dead. So, you know, it is something interesting about that, like the whole tragic situation with that. But yeah, like I can definitely see maybe getting some other villages involved, particularly the Cloud, and maybe Killer Bee makes a
Shout
sacrifice for
out to the Cloud.
Himawari. Absolutely. Maybe Killer Bee makes a sacrifice for Imawari, and I'm just getting really tinfoil hat, as Baro would say. And then we got to get the Eight Tails linking up with little Hima. Maybe, but we'll see.
Yeah, one of the things that I would say though, like something that this kind of does open a door for, I think it'll be like reckless to not create brand new Jinchuriki, just to have the barrier mode feature, have multiple people of that level potentially fighting alongside the Z fighters. You see what I'm saying? Now that we know that it won't kill them permanently,
This guy
and
calling the
probably
Z
get
fighters.
like a 3 year rest or something like that, just a solid time skip, bro. We got 9 of them, 9-tailed beasts. Like they gotta start using them.
I don't know about that though,
I don't like
because
that.
yeah, because the
All right.
death mechanic is still there, but and like Kurama's like, yo, he doesn't really know why he came back as soon as he did,
Or
or like
when.
exactly the conditions. So it could be another century before any of the tail beasts ever return. I do like the idea of having Jinchuriki, but maybe not Baryon mode. Or maybe you know, Kurama has retained Baryon mode and he has some kind of like enlightened understanding of it. I spoke about the lore about the celestial Kitsune. After 1,000 years, he ascends and then returns. There's something similar there in terms of age and what happened to him as he literally ascends upwards as Naruto reaches out, and then he is back. So maybe there's something special about this particular Kurama that we'll see manifest, because Himawari right now, she has like a power that looks very similar to part one Land of Waves arc Naruto. It's like, okay, well, if it is similar, then I'm pretty sure that's not enough power to deal with Jura. But then also, you know, her affinity could make that power that Kurama has bloom and blossom in a way that Naruto or basically any of her predecessors have never been able to do, right? Maybe healing Inojin or something of the sort, like how Naruto healed Maito Guy with you know, the Sun Seal. Not obviously the same mechanic, but something similar. And I think that could be pretty compelling stuff with that. I also think you know, maybe Himawari is also very special because of her link to the Hyuga, the Otsutsuki, and Kaguya Otsutsuki as well. You know, you form Hagoromo, Hamura, you get Kaguya. In the same way you form Indra, Ashura, you get Hagoromo. In Naruto and Sasuke's case, for the reincarnates, potentially she could uh, you know, be just like built different, because she has a whole full power Nine Tails inside of her. I'm pretty sure, unless like the light side went to her and the dark side went to Naruto, or rather Boruto, or something of the sort. But Yeah, Himawari is definitely her.